And a very good afternoon to you. I'm John Rawling, sitting alongside Bobby Gould for Paraguay against New Zealand. New Zealand in this two-horse race are quoted as 6-1 outsiders to win this match, but that's been the same against Slovakia, it's been the same against Italy, and they got 1-1 draws in each of them. Are they going to beat Paraguay this afternoon and take their place in the knockout phase? It really has been the most remarkable, improbable run. Paraguay are almost there. They head the group. They beat Slovakia 2-0, 1-1 against Italy. They've got 4 points. Then Italy and New Zealand, 2 points each. Slovakia back on 1 point. So it's all to play for. The New Zealanders making their way out now onto the pitch, and it promises to be another real, I've used the phrase before, nerve-jangling sort of match. Tension, and they are living the dream. That's what Ricky Herbert said. New Zealand living the dream. They are so close to achieving something which would, before these championships, have been considered just about impossible. Here now, the anthems of the two countries. First, the anthem of Paraguay. Fans, and there are plenty of them in the red and white shirts of their national team, have made their way into the stadium here, and great support. But now the anthem for New Zealand. Occasion this promises to be for New Zealand sport. New Zealand inspired by their captain Ryan Nelson, a member of the Blackburn Rovers team, and he was colossal, his performance against Italy. He, I'm sure, will need to produce something similar today. New Zealand, unsurprisingly, fielding an unchanged team, which means Mark Paston, the goalkeeper, a back three, Winston Reid, who got that goal against Slovakia, Ryan Nelson and Tommy Smith, who plays for Ipswich. Midfield four, Leo Bertos on the right flank, Simon Elliott, Ivan Vilic and Tony Lockhead on the left, and up front Rory Fallon of Plymouth Argyle, the free-scoring Shane Smeltz, who got the goal against Italy, and big Chris Killen, who has been on Middlesbrough's books. He's being released by Middlesbrough, so he'll do his chances of getting a new club no harm at all if he performs well today. As for Paraguay, well, they've made changes. They've made 3 changes. Antolin Alcaraz, a defender, he's out, injured with an ankle problem. Also left out Carlos Bonet and Lucas Barrios. In come Julio Cesar Caceres, Denis Kanitsa, 35 years old, who'll captain the team, and Oscar Cardozo up front. So it's in goal Justo Villar, a back four, Denis Kanitsa, Paulo da Silva, Julio Cesar Caceres, and Claudio Morel. In midfield, Enrique Vera, Victor Caceres, Christian Riveros, and up front, Nelson Valdez, Roque Santa Cruz, familiar name to British listeners, Manchester City of course, and Oscar Cardozo brought in there into the Paraguayan strike force. Well, New Zealand once again, Bobby, rank outsiders, but I'm beginning to believe that they can pull this off.
I'd love to think so. I really, really would. But would this be one game too many? I was just going through the 32 coaches there, John, of all the teams in the World Cup at this moment. And I just wonder how many have selected the same team for the three games that they've played. Because that's what Ricky Herbert's done here. And that is some feat.
Well, he's reckoning that they're inspired.
Oh, they are.
And that they're going to move on and be able to replicate what they've done in the first two games.
Yeah, you know, we see how many managers and coaches have been changing the teams.
Yeah.
There's been no consistency. And here we have mixture of part-timers, full-timers, playing together, playing as a unit. They've been staying in lovely accommodation on the side of a golf course. They've had their own homes, and they've lived like they were living in normal places instead of being cooped up in a hotel room. Perhaps they know something we don't, and Ricky Herbert's done a great job. Here we go.
The match is about to get underway. Remember, if you want to listen to Italia versus Paraguay, that's on 10:89 and 10:53 a.m. But you're listening to Talksport's digital coverage now of Paraguay against New Zealand, and Paraguay playing from left to right in their red and white striped shirts, and New Zealand, well, they're playing in all black.
Yes, what a change from the all whites to the all blacks. And the Maori All Blacks beat England at rugby yesterday in Napier, so that might just be a good omen for us.
Lockhead plays it forward for New Zealand, in straight to a Paraguayan player, and they build down the right hand side through Victor Caceres, appeals for a free kick. Tommy Smith, who's got his hair Mohican spiked for the occasion, plenty of gel in there, but they've given away a free kick, and it is going to be taken perhaps by Roque Santa Cruz, who's going to be a key man for Paraguay, I think, this afternoon. He's not had a particularly happy World Cup so far. Their goals in the competition have been scored by Alcaraz, who's not in the team today, injured. Vera and Riveros, two midfield players. Let's see what they can do from this. First free kick then for Paraguay on the right-hand side as they look at the New Zealand half, and it's going to be taken by Claudio Morel, who plays for Boca Juniors in Argentina, and there's some big men up there waiting for it. He'll try and swing it across left-footed, and he feints to do so, and the referee's not happy. The Japanese referee, Yuichi Nishimura, having a word with a couple of the Paraguayan players. He's wanting to speak to Julio Cesar Caceres about something or other, but the Japanese referee now is convinced that everything is okay and that life can go on, and Paraguay take their free kick. It's swung across left-footed, but straight into the arms of Mark Paston, who takes it cleanly, and nice for him to get an early touch of the ball.
Yes, he's going to take it cleanly, but I just worried then about young boy Smith, Tommy Smith, because he gave a penalty away in the last game by holding somebody's shirt, and Ricky Herbert, being a solid defender in his playing career, would have made sure that they watched the video and they would understand that there was no holding of shirts from any dead ball situations. They can't afford to do it because it was so costly in the last game.
It was played forward down the left-hand side by Christian Riveros there, who seems to be operating again on the left-hand side of that Paraguayan midfield. Nelson Valdez appears to be operating on the left side up front, with Roque Santa Cruz in the central striking position. The ball was played through long for Santa Cruz, but he couldn't get on the end of it. Goal kick for New Zealand, which they take. It's kicked long by Paston all the way through to the Paraguayan goalkeeper Justo Villar, who plays for Valladolid. And it's played forward slowly. Patient build-up from Paraguay. We had a real breathless match, which Bobby and I witnessed yesterday, between the United States and Algeria, and this altogether more measured in the opening moments. Paraguay against New Zealand. It's 0-0. You're listening to this match on Talksport with lowcostholidays.com. Now anyone can go anywhere. It's played forward by New Zealand, throw-in taken, that man's been upended. It was Rory Fallon who went tumbling down under the challenge of one of the Paraguayan midfielders, and it's going to be a free kick for New Zealand. Right-hand side, just inside their own half. Big Chris Killen might be the man who they're looking for up front. Smelts there as well, who's a real goal poacher, natural goal scorer. It's played wrong from the right-back position, headed out by Paraguay onto this near side, and it's going to be a throw-in for New Zealand.
Yeah, there's a free kick there, was just well short of the penalty area, but I should imagine that Paraguay had watched the video of the game against the Italians and knows that Lippi was very questionable over the aggression of New Zealand.
Smelts cut inside after that throw-in taken by Tony Lockhead, but couldn't get the shot that he wanted and blasted it well wide of the far post. But early signs once again that Smelts in no way is being overawed by this occasion, and he went past 2 or 3 Paraguayan men, held them off, drove in the shot, couldn't find the target.
He's quite capable of playing in the championship in this country, Shane Smelts. He's got the ability, and I have no shadow of a doubt if he wants to wander the world. At this moment he's settled in Australia, but if he wanted to wander the world, he could go with the reputation he's accumulated at this World Cup.
Roque, beg your pardon. Beg your pardon, Bobby.
No problems.
Roque Santa Cruz runs it out on the far side, trying to link up with Valdez, but a communication breakdown, I think we'll charitably call it, and it's a throw-in again for New Zealand. They really have risen to the occasion magnificently here, this New Zealand team. Paraguay, as I say, favourites for this, quoted at 9-4 on, I'm told, by the British bookies. And will they be able to fulfil that favouritism? They're in possession now, and it's just stroked across the back line, and it comes forward now with for Paraguay, Victor Caceres, who in turn plays it back to Julio Cesar Cáceres, and they're still just knocking it around in their own half. Now it's played long, diagonal ball out towards the right wing, where belting down that right side was Denis Kanitsa, trying to get on the end of it, the man who's been drafted into the side for this match, but he didn't have sufficient speed to get there. Gives a wave of acknowledgement to the man who supplied the pass, but it's gone out, and it's gone through a throw-in for New Zealand, taken by Lockhead. Comes back off a Paraguayan head, but back to Lockhead, who tries to pump it long, but Paraguay back in possession, and it's back with Kanitsa, who now plays it back patiently, back to one of the central defenders. It's played out again to Kanitsa down this right wing, and then Enrique Veras in pursuit, tries to get his cross in, unable to do so, and the ball rolls out for a goal kick for New Zealand.
I tried to interpret really the scenario of such a low-key start, to be honest, John. Both teams are quite comfortable passing the ball about, and I would have thought that Ricky Herbert would have wanted to get into the Paraguayans to make sure that they unsettled them, but at this moment in time they're just quite happy to defend in depth and hit a few long balls occasionally, but they're trying to keep possession as well.
Still Italy 0, Slovakia 0 in the other match in this Group F. Here it's Paraguay 0, New Zealand 0, and no clear chances really at either end. There's been that shot off target from Shane Smelts, but it wasn't really particularly close to being a goal. It's played forward long now by Paraguay down that left side, and it's steered back to Victor Caceres, central area of midfield, tried to play it out to the left wing, a really loose delivery, and it's come back to New Zealand. The attempted clearance by Ryan Nelson, I think it was, came off Claudio Morel of Paraguay, and it's gone out for a goal kick for New Zealand.
Sluggish start for me,
both, very much so.
Both teams. Perhaps we were spoilt yesterday, John, after the American Algiers game, and all of a sudden you come back to a slow tempo, but neither team really looking at taking command.
A draw might be enough for Paraguay. So far as New Zealand are concerned, a win would definitely put them through to the next phase. A win, of course, would definitely put Paraguay through, but here come New Zealand. Swung across towards Shane Smelts, tries to get on the end of it with a right foot volley, unable to do so, and now it's gone out for a Paraguayan goal kick. Really, well, they broke down the right-hand side there. The cross came into Smelts, couldn't find the contact needed, but he was in that attacking position again. Yeah, he was drifting away. He hadn't drifted really quick enough, and it's gone over his shoulder as well, and he tried to bring it down with his left foot, but skidded out for a goal kick. But still
attempting to hit that back post area.
He's scored 17 goals for his country. Shane Smeltz, who was German born but has a US and British parents but brought up in New Zealand, and therefore that is the country he's playing for here. The Japanese referee Yuichi Nishimura, who officiated in the early match, that bore draw between France and Uruguay, he penalises Morel for a handball, I think it was, just on the line.
What happened, John? Did you see what happened? Really bounced up again. That ball reared really up, and he thought he was going out for a throw-in, trying to stop it.
Played long. The free kick comes back off Rory Fallon, but he challenged for it illegally, and the referee says free kick to Paraguay. And the man down is Caceres, Victor Caceres, key man in midfield for Paraguay, clutching his back. His brother Marcos is also an international who plays in Argentina, but he's out at the moment with a pretty serious knee injury. So Victor's the man playing here this afternoon, and it's played now down the left-hand side by Paraguay. Christian Riveros, but he loses out, and now New Zealand bring it forward through Ivan Vilic, and then it comes back behind him. And Fallon's gone down, and a yellow card's being shown.
Yeah, there are...
Victor Caceres,
Japanese referee, he's gone right down his left heel.
Nasty one.
Oh, yeah. Whether that was a bit of payback time because Fallon had just clashed with him a few moments earlier, but that is a very dangerous time to concede a yellow card. He'll have to be so careful now.
Well, Caceres has been stupid there because as a result of that, that's his second yellow card. So if Paraguay go through, he's going to be suspended as a result of that.
Well, you could see that in his body language, in his face movement as well. There's something deeper than that. And yeah, as you rightly said, from yellow card in the previous games, he will miss the next game if they go through.
Rory Fallon is up and well, thankfully. And New Zealand now playing in all black today, from right to left as we look at it. They have the free kick. It's played forward long. Oh, and he almost gets in on the end of it. Chris Gillen didn't quite have the speed or the commitment to launch himself. Perhaps Andy Gray style. That was what was needed on that far post. Couldn't quite get at it.
Yeah, he didn't believe and he didn't anticipate. Another half a yard and he could have been on the back post there, diving to put the ball in. But no, I don't think his brain worked quick enough.
It's still 0-0. Paraguay 0, New Zealand 0 in this Group F match, final qualifying match from the qualifying stage, and it's Italy 0, Slovakia 0. We'll hear from that match as that one progresses, and any developments, of course, we'll keep you right up to date with that. And if you want to hear commentary on that game, it's continuing on 1053 and 1089 medium wave. Here on digital, you're listening to Paraguay against New Zealand, and it's been a circumspect sort of opening from both teams, but Paraguay now bring it forward down the left flank from Nelson Valdez, tries to get his cross in left-footed, and able to do so, and he's looked a little bit ineffectual down that left wing so far. And we've played nearly 12 minutes, and Paraguay have not created anything, and New Zealand have had one shot off target.
Yes, and 4:15 here in South Africa, 2:15 in New Zealand, and I just wonder how many people have got out of bed to watch New Zealand play this important and vital game for their country.
Well, I'm told that for the last two matches there was something like a quarter of the nation was actually watching on, hoping that New Zealand, even in those early hours, could somehow pull something off. I think the New Zealand economy must have ground to a halt the next day, because people aren't going to be in great shape.
No, not going to work, but I'm sure the wineries out there would have enjoyed it.
Now there's another option, of course. It's a throw-in for New Zealand in their own half. It's going to be taken by the man who operates on the right-hand side of midfield, Leo Bertos, and he throws it long towards Fallon, but it's back in possession with Roque Santa Cruz for Paraguay. It's down the left side, and Santa Cruz takes it, but I think a free kick has been given against Chris Gillen, as a Paraguayan man tumbled to the ground. The Japanese referee doesn't like Killen arguing the toss, and Chris would be well advised to keep his mouth shut. It was Morel who went down under his challenge, and certainly didn't seem to do too much wrong. Chris Killen, who was just bumbling and boring a little bit from behind, but nevertheless, with a word of admonishment for the referee on the left-hand side, it's now going to be a free kick for Paraguay. Roque Santa Cruz waits in the middle. Cardoso is there as well, and a lot of pushing and shoving as they wait for the free kick to come across. Here it comes. It's swung over. The New Zealand defence stands firm. It's volleyed back in by Denis Kanitsa for Paraguay. Couldn't hit the target, and it's still 0-0. We've played nearly 14 minutes here now, and it's Paraguay 0, New Zealand 0. It's not been a particularly enterprising opening to the game. No real chances at either end. We've had a shot off target from Shane Smeltz for New Zealand. We've seen Denis Kanitsa put one off target for Paraguay, but really the goalkeepers haven't been tested yet. It's New Zealand 0, Paraguay 0.
It's very, very low key. Very, very low key. Whether there's a fear element out there, John, I'm not quite sure. But not the New Zealand that we saw in that last game.
Paraguay bring it out on the left-hand side. This is Claudio Morel. Plays it back to Victor Caceres and then back to his central defenders, and it comes to Julio Cesar Caceres, no relation, and Kanitsa on the right back, in the right back position forward to Victor Caceres, then back to his namesake, who in turn plays it to Paulo da Silva, who is in that Paraguayan defence once more. Sunderland player, of course, on the right hand side now with Denis Kanitsa, tries to set loose down the right hand side for Paraguay, Enrique Vera, but he couldn't get through, couldn't get onto it, and it's going to be a throw-in for New Zealand. Vera, who has blondish hair and a interesting beard, which is sort of a bit of hair strapped to the underside of his chin. Fancy that as a style statement, Bobby?
Not for myself. I'm a plain shaver. That's what I like.
Never had the beard?
Never in my life. Bertie Mead says if you see somebody with a beard, they're hiding behind something.
Well, I had a beard once upon a time, but we'll talk about that later. Here comes Valdez down the left-hand side for Paraguay. Edge of the area. Tries to chip it across to the far side. Nobody anticipated his thoughts. He passed it into empty area, and it goes out for a goal kick for New Zealand.
When you're playing three forwards up top like both teams are here, that one on the opposite wing there, you've got number 18 going through, Valdez. He's going to try and put the ball into a dangerous area. Now Santa Cruz or somebody's got to drift out. They've got to drift out onto that far side so they can come behind the centre backs and make sure that they come on the blind side, but they're not giving themselves enough room.
Not a huge amount of attacking intent from these two sides at the moment. They're content to just feel each other out, and the Japanese referee is having a heated debate with Paraguay's number 14 Paulo da Silva, and Chris Killen is involved in this once again, and it looked to me as though it was Fallon who might have tangled with one of the Paraguayan players, Christian Riveros. Riveros went down as though he'd been smacked round the head, and nothing really happened.
What's happened here, John, is no doubt about it. The referees have looked at it and said, look, the New Zealanders used a lot of elbows in the last game. Now, so they're going to penalise them, and the Paraguayans have anticipated this, and they're feigning injury. That's what they're doing. That's what's happening here. I have no shadow of a doubt about that.
Santa Cruz chips it through. First time volley, left-footed by Denis Kanitsa over the bar, and no threat once again to Mark Paston in the New Zealand goal. It went high over the bar and away towards the crowd, and a big crowd it is as well.
It's like ski jumps on that far side with them stands. Goodness me, who did we have represent England once for us coming down those skis?
Eddie the Eagle.
Eddie
Edwards.
I tell you what
a man.
He's braver than me, Gunga Din.
Have you ever stood at the top of one of those ski jumps? It's frightening.
It is. In Norway.
Meanwhile, New Zealand bring it forward, and in possession it's Shane Smeltz, right hand side, chips it across towards Killen, couldn't quite get his cross right, and it's taken clean by Justo Villar, in the Paraguayan goal, and Paraguay now bring it forward once again. It's with Caceres, played out to the right-hand side to Canizza, who heads forward across the halfway line, looks to see if he's got any help, and it comes back to him from Enrique Vera, and in turn back to Caceres, and then to Victor Caceres, who checks back and works across towards the left-hand side and plays it out to Claudio Morel. The play not at much more than walking pace from Paraguay, and it's been a really quiet opening to this match. Morel now plays it down the left-hand side. Can Paraguay start to step it up here? Taken on the chest by Santa Cruz, and it's laid back, driven in by Caceres, off a defender, and then smashed just wide once more from Canizza, edge of the area, right-hand side, into the side netting. It's still 0-0.
That was with intent. Canizza there on the last shot was really vicious with it, but Santa Cruz did well there. He brought it down on his chest, set it back for the red and white shirts to come follow it in, and then the number 4 then, Canizza, came running in, but it's hit the outside of his foot and it swerved away from goal. Instead of going towards goal, that swerve on the ball taking it away over the crossbar.
This is 99th international appearance, Denis Canizza, 35 years old, and the first Paraguayan to play in 4 World Cup finals. All the way down on the far side, it's shepherded out by a Paraguayan defender, Claudio Morel, and it's going to be a goal kick for New Zealand. Lovely conditions here again. It's a beautiful day for football.
Yeah, well, later on in the afternoon, and that sun starts to disappear behind the stands, and footballers can play in the shade. They can't complain that it's too warm, and that they've got a beautiful surface as well to play on.
16 degrees was the temperature, and just a breath of breeze, not much at all, and it is a good playing surface. It's played forward long down the right side by Canizza, nobody able to get on the end of it, and into the hands of Mark Paston. Paston had an unsteady sort of opening game in phases against Italy. He performed very well though.
Yeah, Slovakia, he had a pass back, and he mistimed the pass back, and he's kicking, and it seemed to affect his whole body. He couldn't time the ball, and it was a woeful period for him and for New Zealand, but against Italy made some great saves.
Enrique Vera has been upended on the right-hand side of the Paraguayan midfield. Agricultural sort of tackle coming in from Tony Lockhead, and the referee going across there and having a little word with Lockhead, and Lockhead may be a little bit fortunate that it was only a word of criticism from the referee and nothing more. And it's played forward now down the left-hand side for Paraguay. Christian Riveros tracked back. They were looking for Roque Santa Cruz. Santa Cruz, though, was on his heels, and it's brought forward now by New Zealand. Down the left-hand side, it's Tony Lockhead who plays it forward for Fallon to try and get on the end of it. Fallon bravely running, but the two defenders see it out for a goal kick easily enough. And a little bit of a word for Fallon once again. They're on New Zealand's case, these Paraguayans, no question.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. They've watched the video, John, and they spend hours watching it. And if they could stimulate somebody to react, then they might get a yellow card, they could get a red card. I was disappointed in Tony Lockhead then. We saw him in the first game against Slovakia break several times. Against Italy he couldn't because they got penned out. He had an opportunity then, and he was their outball in the first game, but we've seen very little. Had one chance there, and he completely made a hash of it with his pass.
Played forward to Roque Santa Cruz by Nelson Valdez, but an interception by the New Zealand defence, and it's hoofed out into the half for Paraguay, into the Paraguayan half, and down the left-hand side now. Morel plays it forward to Valdez, who tries to turn his man once again, but Winston Reid goes with him. Valdez, well, Reid's gone down. Valdez went past him. The ball's gone out for a goal kick, and no infringement was given. There was shoulder-to-shoulder tussling again.
I thought there might have been a stamp there by Valdez as Reid goes to the ground. He's sprawling on the ground, and Valdez is coming trying to catch the ball before it goes out for a goal kick, but we'll just have to wait and see if we get a playback on the screens in front of us.
The Paraguayan fans really excited here, raising a huge amount of noise, and of course those who've travelled across from New Zealand, fair few of them, and I should think there'll be a few who you know in this crowd, Bobby.
Yeah, they've spent a lot of money. So, some of the players that played in the National League New Zealand, they've gone over there, especially one lad called Davy Geary, who played for us at Hawke's Bay. Spent a fortune to go over there. And he's been well repaid, I've got to say that, by this fine New Zealand squad.
Ryan Nelson plays it out long for New Zealand, straight back into Paraguayan possession though, and what can they do here? Roque Santa Cruz on a run, puts it down the right hand side to Enrique Vera, who plays it off Tommy Smith, and out for a throw-in for Paraguay. Vera hasn't been able to find the crosses that he'd want so far, and coming across to take it is the veteran Dennis Kanitsa, who indicates that he's going to throw it long, launch it towards the New Zealand area. Here he comes, throws it long. It's towards Roque Santa Cruz. It's come off a New Zealand head, and there's appeals for a free kick which have been given, and it's gone New Zealand's way. It was given against Oscar Cardozo, I think, the Benfica player who's been brought into the team for this match, promoted. Big, tall, rangy player, and he brought down Ryan Nelson, and it's going to be a free kick for New Zealand.
Yes, he looked a bit clumsy there. He didn't attack the ball, and it's a long throw in, and Oscar Cardozo there, he's got to put himself about, but fairly. That's how I see centre forwards, but there are a lot of flailing elbows.
It's not been a great game here so far. Paraguay 0, New Zealand 0. Let's get a report on the match between Italy and Slovakia.
Slovakia 0, Italy 0, and Slovakia having slightly the better of the possession and certainly the best chance of all, when after 5 minutes the ball was flicked on by Vitek. It landed round about the penalty spot on the volley. Hamsik tried an effort, and instead of hitting the target, he hit it well wide. It was a glorious opportunity. Slovakia might not get a better one. Slovakia 0, Italy 0.
Graham Beecroft with that report, and commentary continues on Talksport medium wave 1089 and 10:53 AM. You're listening to Paraguay versus New Zealand here on Talksport with McCoy's Mancris, proud sponsors of Talksport's coverage of the 2010 World Cup. Italy against Slovakia continues on medium wave. Paraguay 0, New Zealand 0. We've been playing nearly 25 minutes here now, and yet we are still waiting for a clear goal-scoring opportunity. It's not been a great game. Paraguay in possession. It's not clicked, has it, Bobby?
No. Whether the coaches are responsible, whether they've told them to go softly, catchy monkey, that's what I'm thinking here.
Can they do something here, though? It's played through to Vera. He's just tried to slip his way through the New Zealand defence. He couldn't do so. The ball goes out, and he punches the ball away angrily, as it's going to be another goal kick for New Zealand. It was Santa Cruz who tried to thread the ball through. Vera was on the end of it, but couldn't quite get where he wanted to be.
Yeah, well, he's made a run inside off the touchline, and Vieira's then come inside Tony Lockhead, but the ball just runs out, fortunately, for New Zealand.
What about this for a scoreline? And Italian listeners won't like this. It's Slovakia 1, Italy 0. So at this stage, Italy bottom of the group and would go out, and with that scoreline it would mean Paraguay and Slovakia going through, and New Zealand missing out.
John, I was not impressed by the Italians.
They were awful, weren't they?
They were, and I thought they were poor in midfield, and they brought Gattuso back, I see, but lack of experience. Well.
And no cutting edge.
No cutting edge. What is Lippi looking at?
Well, that's an extraordinary scoreline if that continues, and we'll try and bring you more from that match as soon as we can. New Zealand here against Paraguay, no goals, and it's moved down the left-hand side by Paraguay, by Claudio Morel, and then inside to Julio Cesar Caceres, and he plays it forward to Victor Caceres. It's at walking pace. They're in the centre circle, waiting for New Zealand to come at them, and then try and make some incisive move. We have now commentary on that goal which came just a moment or two ago.
Ball on the far side with Slovakia. That's their left. Played in low. Poor ball though, and comfortable for Chiellini to cut out. Knocks it into midfield for De Rossi, but given away. Slip forward now. Vitek with the shot. It's a goal for Slovakia. And Vitek, who scored the only goal that Slovakia have got before this game, has got a second. Fantastic strike, but it was all of Italy's own making. Slovakia 1, Italy 0.
had no goals while you've been away. It's Paraguay 0, New Zealand 0, and the score from the other match, let me remind you, Slovakia 1, Italy 0. Extraordinary scoreline. Here, though, with 28 minutes played. It's played down the right-hand side by Paraguay. Here they come with Carrizo. Tries to put it across and over the top of the bar. Kanitsa, I think that was, it wound up being a shot. I think it was actually an attempted cross. They certainly shaped to cross the thing, and it just ballooned up over the bar.
I'm disappointed with Elliott there, the New Zealand midfield player. He's gone in, he's slid in, and he's not made contact with the ball, and that's disappointing for me. I just wonder, John, I really do, with the scene the start here, where both sets of teams are looking at each other and want to get to 0-0 to see what the result is from the other game. I can't see any information being fed through to Ricky Herbert down in the dugout there, but it's a strange approach.
New Zealand have got to score now, irrespective, because if it wound up being 0-0, and even if the other match wound up being 1-1, that wouldn't be good enough, because Italy would have the goal, so New Zealand have now got to score.
Yeah, but I'm just I sit back and I just wonder what is going through people's minds. They know they've got to win games, but there we are. They might sit that they'll hang on for the first hour and then go for the jugular in the last 30 minutes.
Not a great match so far. It's played forward by Elliott for New Zealand. Can they make something out of this as they break towards the edge of the area? Coming forward for New Zealand, Rory Fallon. It's crossed into the arms of the goalkeeper Villar, and they couldn't make anything of it in the end, but the big men were going in, trying to get on the end of that, couldn't do so. Paraguay, though, survived.
Yeah, well, that's the first time, 29 minutes and 30 seconds, looking at the clock there, that they've actually made an attempt on goal, New Zealand. 29.5 minutes.
Roque Santa Cruz has been brought down on the far side in the New Zealand area, and he appeals for the free kick, and it may be that it's going to be given. I'm not sure what the referee has decided here. He clashed with Reed. Reed didn't really appear to do anything apart from hold his ground, and down went Roque Santa Cruz, and the referee says get on with it, but now he has given a free kick in Paraguay's favour, left-hand side of the field, about 10 yards or so into the New Zealand half, and it will be played across by Christian Riveros. Roque Santa Cruz is up there, the tall figure of Cardozo as well, and now it's a little run through on the left-hand side by Riveros, who's looking to get across to put his cross in left-footed, and able to do so, headed clear and back into possession for Paraguay in their own half now, and it's played all the way back to their goalkeeper. And the pulse is not racing, I tell you.
No, definitely not. Here's a chance.
It's been given away by Paraguay, and New Zealand now with Elliott. But Paraguay are now back in numbers. He plays his cross to the right-hand side to Leo Bertos, who tries to take on his man and does so. Beats one challenge,
handball.
Almost goes through a second one, but it's been played out for a throw-in. I don't think they've given the handball.
Blatant handball. That's a foul throw-in for New Zealand as well. They're just letting them drop the ball.
Well, I think you'd better have a word with this Japanese referee. It comes across for New Zealand, and another Paraguayan player has gone down clutching his head, Julio Cesar Caceres, and the referee's got to be careful here, because I think there's a little bit of play acting by Paraguay, no question about it. He's gone down, suggesting that he's been punched in the eye. Now, we can watch a replay of this. Killen went up, arms were waving, and, well, he maybe got an arm in the head. It wasn't an elbow.
He's getting suckered in, John. They're trying to sucker the referee in to say, look, this is happening time after time. But I tell you what, the Paraguayans have set themselves up, and that is disappointing. That is unprofessional.
He's a very experienced referee, 38 years old, Yuichi Nishimura from Japan, and he's got to try and keep a lid on this. Paraguay back in possession again at walking pace. Julio Cesar Caceres brings it up towards the halfway line, swings it out right-footed to the left side, where Claudio Morel, the fullback, has it, and he's looking to play it down that left side and finds Roque Santa Cruz, or rather attempted to find Roque Santa Cruz, and it's now back with New Zealand and Elliott, who turns this way and that, shielding the ball, plays it back to Nelson, who in turn plays it back to the goalkeeper, who hammers it past and deep into the Paraguayan half, and it comes across on this right-hand side to Caceres, who's now in the full-back position. We're told that 56% of possession is with Paraguay, but it's not meant anything for them, because after 33 minutes it's still Paraguay 0, New Zealand 0. You're listening to this match on Talksport with McCoy's Man Crisps, proud sponsors of Talksport's coverage of the 2010 FIFA World Cup. Throw in on the far side for Paraguay.
We've been spoilt, John, you and I. We really have.
Well, we've had some crackers, haven't we?
This isn't. Cracking games. We've had some cracking games, and here's my adopted country. They're just going through the motions at the moment. They've really haven't got that ball rolling and putting it into dangerous areas.
Let's see what they can do here as they pinch possession on the left-hand side. Vera puts Elliott under pressure. Smith has to play it out towards Shane Smeltz, who loses possession, and back come Paraguay now in the New Zealand half, but they lose out once again, and now New Zealand with Shane Smeltz on the left-hand side of the pitch, surrounded by 2-3 Paraguayan players, and he loses out, and Vera manages to rob it from him, but it comes back to Smith, who plays it long down the left side, aiming for Rory Fallon, comes back off a Paraguayan head though, and now Paraguay play it down the right flank through Dennis Kanitsa, aimed through towards Nelson Valdez, who couldn't get through on the end of it in the New Zealand area, and it's back in possession for New Zealand.
I've said previously to the game starting whether the New Zealanders mentally and physically could get through this game. I did wonder. I'm questioning that now, John, that they're pushing themselves to new limits here, and they are not playing as well as we've seen them.
Given away sloppily by Ivan Vilic in midfield. Valdez has been bundled down, but Paraguay still in possession. Referee says play on. Shot comes in from 25 yards out from Valdez all the way along the ground, and Mark Paston gets down safely, body behind it, hands behind it, and collects it first time.
Valdez, he's the one on the left-hand side. He cuts in, number 18. He's got a groin injury, Valdez. I don't think he'll be out there much longer, but he's been cutting in on that right hand, from the left-hand side, hitting a few shots. He's been the one that's been lively. We've got a situation with Santa Cruz being the target man and Cardozo playing wide on the right. But they haven't knitted together as a unit yet, and that's fortunate. That's good fortune for New Zealand.
Nelson Valdez, who plays his club football for Borussia Dortmund, and included in the Paraguayan squad after an outstanding domestic season. New Zealand give it away down the right side. Morel, the fullback, hacks it clear, but it comes back to Ivan Vilic, and can they get something here? As Berto goes past one challenge, goes past a second, gets a cross in. Fallon was up there trying to get the header, but collected by the Paraguayan goalkeeper.
Great play by Bertos there. I was reading an article earlier on about Bertos saying he's been struggling with the wing-back role. He's okay going forward, but he's been a bit queried going backwards and defending. But we've seen him in a better light there, where he's took the full-back on, got to the byline, but his cross was too close to the goalkeeper. Should learn a little bit from James Milner, how well he crossed the ball yesterday for the goal that England scored from.
It's still Paraguay 0, New Zealand 0 here, and the match has not really caught a light yet. We'd hoped for more. This scoreline as things stand would be good enough for Paraguay, but New Zealand need to do better. No clear chances at either end, really. Paraguay have shot from range through Valdez. New Zealand have had their pressure, but not cut anything out so far, and it's not caught fire at all, this, Bobby.
No, I wouldn't say that's any pressure whatsoever of New Zealand put together a continued period of the ball being in the attacking third. Here they go. Free kick again.
And it's a free kick for Paraguay in their own half. Played out towards the left side. And here comes Claudio Morel of Boca Juniors in Argentina. Plays it back inside to Julio Cesar Caceres. Walking pace and coming back, dropping deep to try and get it is Roque Santa Cruz. It's been given away though, and it's going to be a throw-in for Paraguay just inside their own half. Oh, for a decent move. We've not seen too many yet.
Told you we got spoilt yesterday, John. We really did. But once you've tasted that, you want more of it. And so imagine the Americans highly delighted with that last-minute goal.
Roque Santa Cruz on a run, testing out the speed and mobility of the New Zealand defence, but Ryan Nelson doing well, spotted it, read it, came across, intercepted and plays it forward, left-footed, down the left-hand side of the pitch, and it's back with Paraguay and played out for a throw-in for New Zealand. Good work from Nelson.
With all due respect, John, the Paraguayans, they don't look up for 100%, do they? Yeah, they've not really attacked with venom at the New Zealand back line, and therefore it's gone for a very, very sloppy period in those 38 minutes that we've witnessed the ball out there.
It's been a really tepid sort of occasion, tepid sort of match, this one so far. Shane Smeltz dropping back deep, puts it back to Village, and it's Elliott loses out midfield, and a chance here maybe for Paraguay. Shot from range by Oscar Cardozo, left-footed over the bar, couldn't test the goalkeeper once again, but it was a little bit worrying from a New Zealand perspective to see the way in which Simon Elliott surrendered possession there.
Yeah, well, him and Smeltz, he had the ball, the two of them had the ball. Instead of the sharp passing that you see with the Brazilians, the one-touch football of the Germans and the one-touch football of the Brazilians, John, it's all about one-touch. If you can play one-touch, top quality, you can go and play your football anywhere in the country.
Cardozo lays it back for Paraguay to Christian Riveros, who's held up on that right-hand side and has to check back and play it back to Claudio Morel, who then plays it across the back line to Julio Cesar Caceres. Out onto the right flank now to Dennis Kanitsa, who's looking to get to Cardozo through, but hadn't got the pace to get onto the end of that, and Ryan Nelson again read it well and able to watch the ball go out for a goal kick for New Zealand.
He wasn't a well man yesterday. He got a stomach bug, but fortunately for New Zealand, and he's cleared himself to play. He's playing very sensibly, but at the same time he is the wise head that covers Winston Reid and Tommy Smith.
Ryan Nelson, 32 years old, the skipper who plays for Blackburn Rovers, absolutely key man at the heart of defence for the All Whites, who this afternoon are playing in all black. We've been playing nearly 40 minutes now. Paraguay 0, New Zealand 0. Throw in for Bertos, taken short to Elliott, who plays it back to Bertos, cuts inside, goes past one man, passes forward, right-footed, looking for Shane Smeltz, finds him, comes back to Elliott, puts his cross in, not a good one though, and out for a goal kick.
He's tearing his hair out. He hasn't got much left, as Elliott, but there we are. It's a good build-up there. We've had a good build-up, linked with passes, but his cross has not been of the standard that you'd require at this level to get an attempt at goal.
This is Talksport's digital coverage of Paraguay against New Zealand. It's 0-0, and you're listening with Talksport with Mercedes-Benz vans. Accept no substitutes. 5 minutes now from the half-time whistle, and the score in the other match in this group, which you can listen to. That commentary is continuing on medium wave. It's Slovakia 1, Italy 0, and the world champions Italy on the cusp of elimination from this year's World Cup. It's Bertos who's back in the right back position, loses possession, but Winston Reid does well to win it back from Roque Santa Cruz. There are bodies going down, and who's going to be deemed to have committed the foul here? The yellow card has been brandished by the Japanese referee, and I'm not quite sure yet who is booked. Dale Reid's on the ground. Roque Santa Cruz was in the thick of things. Reid put in a challenge on Morel, and who is it who's been booked, Bobby? Who do you reckon?
I think it's the number 3, to be honest. He's
Morel.
Yeah. Or is it Santa Cruz? There's 2 bodies out there, 2 black shirts on the ground and 2 striped shirts towering above them.
Well, I'm not sure how good the Japanese referee's English is, but he's trying to explain.
Oh, that's the one. Santa Cruz. He's top number 11 he's top Bertos.
Roque Santa Cruz goes into the book. He's not happy about it, but he's got to live with it.
Oh, there's definitely what they do when they make a tackle like that. They go over the top of the ball and they just leave their foot in, and it goes straight down onto the ankle there of the opposition.
Not nice. You never used to do a thing like that, did you?
No, I had it done to me several times, I tell you.
And not pleasant.
I broke my leg. Peter Osgood broke my leg once.
Really?
Yeah.
In similar circumstances?
In similar circumstances, yeah. I played for West Ham against Sunderland.
And not pleasant.
No.
And now Paraguay bring it forward down the right-hand side. Julio Cesar Caceres across the halfway line, plays it long towards Santa Cruz and trying to get on the end of it, overlapping down the right-hand side, Dennis Canizza. But again, the move just peters out. It wasn't done with a huge amount of thought or invention, and it's gone out for a goal kick for New Zealand. 3 minutes to half-time, a scoreline which would mean that Paraguay would qualify, New Zealand wouldn't, and it's 0-0 here. And the seconds are ticking down. Are we going to have any more goal-scoring opportunities in this half? And frankly, there have not been too many. Paraguay's mainly restricted to shots from range, and New Zealand haven't created a great deal. And what they have, what scraps they've had, they haven't been able to capitalise on. But it's back with New Zealand now. Played down the down the right-hand side, but straight to Caceres for Paraguay, and it's brought forward now by Canizza, who plays it long down the right flank, aimed towards Santa Cruz, but headed clear by the New Zealand defence. But here come Paraguay once again. Oh dear. Another awful pass from Cardoso, trying to find Santa Cruz, and he missed his intended target by fully 2 or 3 metres, and he was not trying to pass it more than 10-15 yards or so.
Yeah, well, we've got a free kick for New Zealand just on the halfway line. Julio Cesar Caceres there has fallen in the back for the first time, and will we see the long ball method of New Zealand pay off from this free kick? I wonder.
Well, they've got Height up there, Reed's up there, and also Schmelz, also Killen and Fallon, and it's being delivered, this free kick, by Elliott, just inside on the left-hand side as they look at the Paraguayan goal by Elliott, once of Fulham. Is he going to be able to get the delivery that he wants? He's waving to some of the players up there, and there's been a little bit of holding, a little bit of pushing. Now it does come across. It's played long, and there's a man free on the far side. Couldn't get on the end of it, though. It was Village, and it just goes through for a goal kick.
Yeah, they've tried to play the midfield player like Village there, who's a big, tall 6'2" person coming round the back. The ball's bounced, and once again it's took another high bounce and gone out for a goal kick. But unfortunately for Elliott there, just didn't get the delivery right.
Ivan Village, who actually retired in 2008 but returned on his manager's plea, the most capped New Zealand player of all time, but he couldn't quite get what he wanted there. As Paraguay play it out to the left-hand side, last few seconds of the first half. And it's played back inside to Julio Cesar Caceres, and then across onto this right-hand side to Christian Riveros, who's switched flanks for whatever reason and plays a fairly defensive-minded ball back to Caceres, who just hoofs it long. Out it goes for another goal kick. There's a minute of added time. And frankly, I'm looking forward to half-time, because you want to see whether these two players, or whether these two teams, under the instructions of their managers, can actually come out in the second half and give us a bit better.
Well, if they get the information that we've been given, and they realise that Slovakia are beating Italy, it is there for both teams. And surely we'll see a much improved second half.
New Zealand have simply got to score. We know that. If they get the draw and they were to score, and if the other match wound up as a draw, then it'd be lots against Italy. There's all sorts of possible permutations here, but it's played forward long towards the Paraguayan goalkeeper, and it's collected comfortably by Justo Villar, and there goes the whistle for half-time after a fairly undistinguished 45 minutes. New Zealand 0, Paraguay 0. It's got to get better, Bobby.
Well, if it doesn't, we're going to be in for a terrible second half. That was one of the worst halves I've seen for a long time at international football. I thought the referee was good, but on the end of that, I just think the situation was with the team in red and white stripes, Paraguay, were trying to suck the referee in to take take them in and try and get somebody sent off.
Well, Ryan Nelson having a word with the referee as the teams leave the pitch, and you can understand his frustration, I think, because he doesn't think that the Japanese referee is reading this too well, and I think it's apparent to any neutral sitting watching this, as we are, Bobby, that what you say there is absolutely spot on, that Paraguay are trying to get as many free kicks as possible from the, let's face it, fairly big, robust, physically intimidating New Zealand team. But as Ryan Nelson, I'm sure, has just said to the referee, what you're seeing isn't necessarily what's happening. No. There's more to it.
Oh, definitely, but there we are. We just hope that the second half will improve.
As things stand then, it means that Paraguay and Slovakia would go through. It's 1-0 at the moment. What would they say in the dressing rooms now, though? If you were Ricky Herbert and you had that New Zealand team in front of you, what do you say?
I'd try and wind them up a little bit. I really would. Whether John, they've got through to them and there's been too much publicity, it's got to the players' minds, it's got into their heads, and they're not going as where we would want them to go. And he's got to stimulate them to make sure they come out and he say, look, your chance is there. Score a goal, win the game, and you go through. You go through. What chance have they got in 45 minutes?
Well, it's hard to see where it's coming from at the moment. From the dead ball, I guess, is their biggest opportunity.
Oh, yeah, there's no doubt about that. But we're in a situation of the ball's got to be delivered right. And I've said too many times in these commentaries, the ball bounces out for a throw-in, the ball bounces out for a goal kick, and we are not getting the service that the forwards would wish for.
Tepid performance as well from Paraguay, though. Roque Santa Cruz, supposedly the key striker for them, leading the line. He's been a fairly anonymous figure. Nelson Valdez down that left-hand side. He's managed to put in a couple of shots which haven't really tested Mark Paston. Apart from that, Cardoso's looked ineffectual. They've not looked like a side which really strikes fear into the hearts of the opposition. New Zealand have still got it to play for here. It's New Zealand 0, Paraguay 0 at half-time. New Zealand against Paraguay is going to be resuming shortly. The players will be making their way out. If you're just joining us, let me remind you that it's 0-0 here, and the other match, it's 1-0 at the moment in Slovakia's favour over Italy. So it would be Paraguay and Slovakia, not New Zealand or Italy, who would qualify for the last 16 as it stands. Hard to see where the goal's coming from here, though, in this match. It really has been poor.
It has. It's been woefully poor. We were spoilt yesterday because it was gung-ho, as I call it, the Americans and the Algerians, and it started, John, from the word go. As soon as they kicked off, and even Carvalho, when we saw Portugal play, he was an attacking force. I haven't seen an attacking move at this moment, only from Tony Lockhead, who created a lot of problems when New Zealand played in Slovakia. He was down the left-hand side. The only one that's created a few problems has been Leo Bertos for New Zealand down that right channel. Rory Fallon, Shane Smeltz and Chris Killen, they have got to work a bit harder. Don't get involved with the centre-halves. Don't go in contact with them. Try and play a little bit more football. And remember, Smeltzy was the one that crossed for Winston Reid in the first game. They've got, if they're playing as a three, they interchange, but they're getting in wide positions. They've got to put the ball in the penalty area.
Well, that's the theory of it. Let's see if New Zealand can do it, as the Paraguay team now make their way out onto the pitch in their familiar red and white striped shirts. This afternoon, New Zealand, rather than the all whites, which they're known as, are playing in the rugby colours. They're playing in all black, and they've yet to really come close to scoring a goal. Paraguay's attempts have been restricted to long-range efforts as well. We could do with something better. It's 0-0. The Japanese referee is going to get play underway. Shane Smeltz with the kick-off for New Zealand. And we just keep our fingers crossed. Things can only get better. Surely New Zealand playing from left to right, planted long by Ryan Nelson. Down that left-hand side towards Lockhead. It's kept in by Dennis Kanitsa, or it was put forward by Dennis Kanitsa, but out for a throw-in for New Zealand on that left-hand side of the pitch. He's got Village. It's taken by Lockhead, back to Elliott. Elliott plays it forward, left-footed, but only as far as Caceres, who makes a hash of his attempted clearance, and battling for it, it's Shane Smeltz, and it's then eventually, gratefully belted clear by Claudio Morel for Paraguay, and forward come Paraguay across the halfway line, and it's again poor control from Oscar Cardoso lets him down, and it's back in possession for New Zealand, who play it down the left-hand side. Played long, but headed clear by Paraguay, who lose out in due course once again to Village, but his attempt to ball forward was a poor one, and this really is a mess at the moment, a mess of a match. Paraguay then now, Christian Riveros, who's taken a more central role, plays it to Morel, and then he does manage to find Santa Cruz, who plays it out to the left side to Hector Valdez, who swings his cross in, headed clear by Nelson, and then Village, left-footed, helps it on to Shane Smeltz, who's come in very, very deep indeed, played forward by Winston Reid, right-footed, but back in possession with Paraguay. No invention, no spark of originality.
I think it's all caught up with New Zealand. Looking at them as they've come out after half-time, where they'd been attacked verbally by the referee, by the manager, when he'd been in there and attacked them, got the hairdryer on them, like Sir Alex Ferguson does, but they still look so lethargic. It is incredulous to see.
Paston hoofs it towards Fallon, who all you could see in his body language, he almost didn't dare jump for it because he was worried at incurring the wrath of the referee, and it's been played out to this near side, down the left side. Hector Valdez unable to keep it in, and it's going to be a throw-in for New Zealand, to be taken by Leo Bertos. Words of advice from Ricky Herbert, who's standing up in the technical area right in front of the commentary position, and it comes down the right side. New Zealand playing for it, challenging for it, but Claudio Morel was able to hook it back, left-footed, into the New Zealand half, but New Zealand then hoik it away down the left-hand side, and Elliott gets control, and he plays it out to the left, to Tony Lockhead, who manages to find Elliott once more. Now Lockhead on a little run down the left-hand side, played out, a tackle by the number 4, Kanitsa, and forward came Lockhead. The drive, eventually, the shot came from Simon Elliott, but it couldn't find the target, and he drove it high over the bar, but New Zealand at last do manage to put a pass or two together. Lockhead riding his luck, got his left-footed cross in, it came off a Paraguayan defender, and the drive from Elliott just high and wide.
Yeah, well, that's more like it. That's the furthest advance that we've seen Tony Lockhead now for like a game and a half, to be perfectly honest, but the ball's come out, and the boy Elliott has come running onto it. Simon there, and he knows his head goes into his hands. He knows that's a great opportunity to hit the target. That's all you've got to do. If you're hitting a shot at goal, try and hit the target.
He's been an international for 15 years, Simon Elliott, now 36 years old. You heard Bobby saying earlier on that he's got what would charitably be called a receding hairline, and that red curly hair makes him an instantly recognisable figure, but he's not been able to find the target so far as he would have wished. It's back with Paraguay. Santa Cruz comes very, very deep, almost into his own back 4, and loses out in possession, but it's played across the back line by Chris Killen. A bit of an anywhere sort of ball. Shane Smeltz turned and looked at him as much as to say, what was that supposed to be? Elliott, central midfield, plays it back, and it comes out on the right-hand side, laid back to Bertos, who in turn plays it back to Reid, who will bang it forward, right-footed into the Paraguayan half, down the right-hand side, looking for Elliott, but the assistant's flag is up. Offside has been given, and the ball will be played by Paraguay. It's carried on where it's left off.
Yeah, 2 strikers of New Zealand have got young Chris Woods, the young West Bromwich Albion player. He could come on up front or play in that front 3, and also Jeremy Brockie plays for Newcastle Jets in the Australian League, and I'll work with him at Hawke's Bay United. Very talented on the ball, not a strong, bustly player, but has got good skill and would get forward. But at this moment in time, anybody of the front 3 could have been taken off, and they couldn't have a call at the manager because they're not contributing.
It's Julio Cesar Caceres for Paraguay, moving it down the right-hand side. It's played back inside once again, and then spread out to the left wing, where Morel, his control lets him down, and it's played out by Leo Bertos. Tried to just play it down the right-hand line, but it's gone out for a throw-in for Paraguay, taken by Morel. Back inside to Christian Riveros, who plays it back to Julio Cesar Caceres, and then Victor Caceres coming deep, plays it back now to Paulo da Silva of Sunderland, who plays it right-footed along the ground to Caceres once more, who plays it back to Riveros, and it's just keep ball here by Paraguay, and Julio Cesar Caceres down the right flank now, tries to chip it across right-footed. There's a New Zealand defender, gets in the way of it. It comes out to Morel, who plays it down the left side to Valdez, and it's Winston Reid battling with him for possession. The two of them go tumbling to the ground, and the free kick has been given in the direction of Paraguay. Well.
I'm bemused, I really am. Winston Reid's got the ball, he's got the under close control, and the number 18 there, Valdez, is virtually pulling him down, but the referee has given the ball the other way.
Well, he was all over his back, wasn't he?
Yeah,
I can't believe it. I can't believe he's given that to Paraguay.
I really am.
Well, he has done, though. That's the upshot. And it's going to be a free kick which will be taken by Claudio Morel. All the big guns are up there for Paraguay. Oscar Cardoso stands well over 6 foot, the man with number 7 on his back from Benfica. Santa Cruz is there. Caceres has come up from the back. Morel now plays it in and cleared easily by the New Zealand defence, but it comes out only as far as Enrique Vera. It's deflected, and the goalkeeper is able to sprint away to his right, Mark Paston, and collect. Paraguay's attempts come to nothing.
Nothing, but it's not very often you see a goalkeeper outpacing a forward there to dive onto the ball, but Paston's got it, kicked it long, and I think it's so poor from New Zealand at the moment. They're not anywhere near the races where they were before.
Well, that was booted long to Rory Fallon, who again had his arms up in the air as much as to say, I'm not interfering with anybody, referee. If he doesn't put himself about a little bit, he might as well not be out there.
Yeah, well, that's it.
He's got to commit himself to some extent, Bobby.
It's just making a token effort.
Down the right side now, Dennis Kanitsa, 35 years old, chips it forward towards Roque Santa Cruz. His header comes back into New Zealand possession, and Elliott plays it to the left side to Tony Lockhead, who beats his man, but it's rolled out for a throw-in for Paraguay. The fans are getting excited. As ever, the vuvuzelas are blaring. But the football is anything but carnival style, and they come forward again. Paraguay down the left-hand side, and it's played out to Morel, who tries to work it down the line to Valdez, who tries to get past his man. Winston Reid, though, reacts well, goes back, and what's the referee going to give here? And he's given a goal kick this time for New Zealand. Reid looked worried for a moment, but it's gone out for a goal kick.
He did, because whether the referee was seeing it from a different angle, but Reid's grown in stature for me. He started off a bit shakily, and now he realises he's possibly there as an international and can play alongside Ryan Nelson, and hopefully his career as a Danish league player might play for an English club if he gets an opportunity, but he has got stronger as the game's gone on.
Let's see what New Zealand can do here. At last putting a few passes together down the right hand side, but the ball from Elliott was misplaced, but now they've won it back, and it could be that there's going to be an opportunity for Fallon, but it's hacked clear by Paraguay. It's back into the New Zealand half, but at last we've had to wait an awful long time for it. They actually did manage to put half a dozen passes together.
Yeah, they put 2 or 3 passes, but it's a wrong selection then, John. They should have kept going out wide. They had the width, and they needed that pass to go wide so they could get attempted crossing or something, but lost possession again.
Paraguay's bespectacled manager Gerardo Martino, who's an Argentinian who's coached them for the last 3 years. He'll know, I'm sure, that this scoreline at the moment is good enough for Paraguay. It'll put them through into the knockout phases, but it's not the sort of performance that he'd want to see, I'm sure. Morel spins it out, left-footed, outside of the boot, to the far side, to Dennis Kanitsa, who in turn plays it to Enrique Vera, and then back to Victor Caceres, who tries to chip it down that right side, trying to produce something for the right winger to move on to, but Enrique Vera was unable to find his way through to it, and it's going to be a goal kick for New Zealand, whose fans are here in numbers. They're in carnival spirits. They want to really have something to celebrate here this afternoon, but the players haven't quite been able to deliver.
John, from the commentaries we've done together over the past few days and week and everything, this is the flattest I have ever been. I've never felt as flat commentating on a game as I am at the moment.
Well, we'll see if we can lift it, see if we can be inspired by something good on the pitch as Paraguay break with Roque Santa Cruz. Oh, dear, dear, dear. He had a chance and the referee's blown his whistle. He's penalised Ryan Nelson as Santa Cruz went theatrically down to the ground. He was, I suppose he'll argue that he was obstructed, but he did try to play the ball to his right, but it's Nelson who's been penalised. What do you make of that?
I think it's an old timer getting a little bit tired and not standing up. I think Ryan Nelson's felt the pace of the last two games, and it was just body contact, solid body contact. He wasn't standing well, he wasn't balanced well, Ryan wasn't, and Santa Cruz just tried to play the ball to the side, got a free kick.
Well,
dangerous area.
And he's been booked, so if New Zealand were to go through, then he would miss the next match. That's his second booking, so that's a really bad situation for New Zealand, even if they were to win this and make their way into the next phase. It's going to be a free kick for Paraguay as a result of that, about 30 yards out, perhaps just a little bit more. I can see Morel standing over the ball, also the tall figure of Oscar Cardoso. It might be that we get something that's been worked out on the training pitch here. We might get a set piece. There's a 5-man New Zealand wall, the Paraguayan players whispering between each other's, and it looks as though it might be Morel who's going to take this one. He comes forward now and leaves it though for Cardoso, and it's hit way over the bar and a waste.
Shaking my head again. I shake my head at the players' attempt. How long they've been together now, how long they've played with this ball. You can blame it for a majority of things, but if you don't train in with the ball and use it to your advantage, then you're not going to be able to control it and deliver where you want to put the ball on a match day. And we haven't seen that.
There comes a time when you have to call a spade a shovel, doesn't it? And that was rubbish. That was rubbish. Paraguay give possession away, but then win it back in centre field, and now it's with Valdez on the left-hand side, played back to Morel, the fullback, who checks. Christian Riveros, it is rather, who switched flanks once more and is now cropping up on the left-hand side. It's played out towards Canizza on that far side, and Julio Cesar Caceres, who plays it forward to Vera, who's moving down the right wing now. It's put out by by Smith rather, in the left-back position. And it's going to be a throw-in for Paraguay. Vera wants it back. He's gesticulating that he wants it, and he does get it, but the challenge was good from Smith, who plays it inside now to Village. And he looks for to Killen, who no, not Killen, it was Fallon, I beg your pardon, and he came tumbling down under the challenge of Caceres. It's played quickly to this right side to Bertos, who loses out though, and Paraguay win the ball, they don't win the throw-in, because Hector Valdez has played it out on the left-hand side, right in front of the cameras, the commentary position, and it's going to be a throw-in to New Zealand. Leo Bertos has it in his hands, plays it back to Reed. Can they start to get some more urgency into their play? Well, it doesn't look so from that, because it's gone all the way back to the goalkeeper, and he hit it first time under a little bit of pressure with Roque Santa Cruz bearing down on him, and he's hoofed it out for a throw-in. That was awful.
Yeah, they look really, really tired, physically and mentally, and there's no coordination between their brain and their feet.
Well, there comes a time when he's got to start thinking about playing some substitutes. The New Zealand coach, Ricky Herbert, he's got the big lad from West Brom, Chris Wood, who's on the bench, 18 years old, tall figure who he could introduce to the strike force. It might be that he would think about bringing him in. Jeremy Christie, midfielder as well. He's been used as a substitute already in this tournament. And also there's the banker, isn't there? Andy Barron, who's on the bench. You never know. It's all going to unfold in the minutes remaining. And we've played just about on the hour now. And it's still New Zealand 0, Paraguay 0. You're listening to this match on Talksport with Mars. Work, rest and play for England. You're listening on digital to this match, while on medium wave 1053 and 1089 commentary continues with Mickey Quinn and Graham Beecroft on Slovakia leading Italy by 1-0, scored in the first half, and as things stand, Paraguay and Slovakia would be the teams who made their way into the knockout phase, with New Zealand and Italy, the World Cup winners 4 years ago, being eliminated. Now, what can New Zealand do here? And the answer is not a great deal. It was Chris Killen who was battling for it down the right flank, and it's gone out for a throw-in for Paraguay. Please, 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 let's have a bit more.
Oh, this is unbelievable for me. I just can't understand the thinking of people knowing that if they win, they can go on in the competition.
Played down the right-hand side. Now, what can Paraguay make of this? Vera's put it into a defender, and it's going to be a corner for Paraguay. We've been playing 61 minutes, and it's still 0-0. And who's going to go across to take this one? It looks as though it might be the fullback who's making his way over, Claudio Morel. Big men up there for Paraguay. Victor Caceres, Julio Cesar Caceres, Paulo da Silva moving up from the back. And can they put New Zealand under pressure with this? It's been a sterile sort of a match. It really has been a great disappointment. So much at stake. And yet New Zealand unable to deliver, and Paraguay have not created much. The corner played short into the area, headed across at the near post. Good save from Paston. An attempt from the number 15, Victor Caceres, was deflected behind, and it may be that's gone out for another corner. Good save from Paston, though.
Yeah, well, they played the ball to the edge of the box. They used a bit of football brain there, and they've knocked it to the side. Four's knocked it in. 16 spun on the 6-yard box. Got a great header in, and Paston has then been in a position of parrying it. And that's great. Rivera scored the other day.
Another corner to the near post. Hacked clear by New Zealand by Rory Fallon, back helping his defence. Headed back in by Paraguay. And then another defensive header, and it's Cardoso who tries to bring it under control, but it's hacked clear once more for a throw-in on that far side for Paraguay.
So look at the black shirts as they're walking out there, John. They're so leggy, they're so heavy, the legs are. There's nobody who can run or sprint at this moment in the New Zealand team.
Paraguay play it forward with Paulo da Silva to the left flank to Claudio Morel, who now plays it forward to Valdez, who cuts inside his man and plays it back to Morel. Paraguay just trying to put a few passes together. Roque Santa Cruz exchanging passes with Valdez, who cut inside and then loses possession, and it's played all the way back by the Paraguayan defence to their own goalkeeper. It's Paraguay 0, New Zealand 0. It's not been a good match to watch. New Zealand, after their heroics in the previous two matches, have been unable to replicate that this afternoon. They've not really created any clear chances. It's not been a great deal better from Paraguay. 0-0 would be good enough to get them into the next phase, and it rather looks from the way that they're playing that would be what they'd be happy to settle for.
And it's the same with the Paraguayan players. They're looking so tired, and I can't believe that 22 players are so shattered.
Paraguay building from the back again at walking pace. It's played forward to Christian Riveros, who's literally walking forward towards the halfway line and just content to play it sideways. Lateral movement and no great urgency from Paraguay, and no great wit or invention from New Zealand, and Paraguay just playing keep ball in their own half. This is awful.
It's two substitutes to warming up for Paraguay now. The manager's had a look at the situation, the coach has had a look, Gerardo Martino, and he's made a decision, and I feel and I sincerely hope Ricky Herbert will do the same as well.
Well, there have to be changes to this. Paraguay, I suppose the onus is on New Zealand. They've got to create more. This is good. This is good enough for Paraguay. They've done what's necessary at this phase, but it's poor to watch. Cross comes in from the right, aimed at Santa Cruz, who is unable to get on the end of it, and it moves across to the left wing position with Bertos forcing him out wide. Santa Cruz tries to play it inside, but only finds Elliott, who now brings it clear for New Zealand and plays it on to the left flank to Tony Lockhead, looking to see if there's any movement. There's nothing ahead. He's got no options. Had to play it back to Tommy Smith, who hoofs it forward towards Shane Smeltz, and he loses out, but then a little bit fortuitously wins back possession, and Elliott spins it out onto the right flank to Bertos, who's the most talented of the New Zealand players. He does a little step over, goes past one challenge, still in possession. He's got a defender right in front of him, gets towards the byline. Can he get his cross in? No, he can't, and it's gone out for a throw into Paraguay.
Well, he went with some intent there. He had a step over down that right-hand side, Bertos. That's where he loves to get in the attacking third, get good crosses in, but two defenders against him and he couldn't take both of them on and lost control. Throw into Paraguay on that left-hand side. And
substitution for Paraguay. Oscar Cardoso has had a wretched afternoon. He's been replaced by Lucas Barrios. That was a tactical change for this match. He brought Barrios off, and he's been introduced, the Borussia Dortmund man. And Edgar Benitez, who plays for Pachuca in Mexico, is coming on in place of Nelson Valdez. So double substitution for Paraguay. Will it create any more of a sense of urgency? Edgar Benitez, who's got a nickname, the Bird, El Pajaro, I think is the pronunciation, and that he's called the Bird because he's so fast. Let's see if we can see a bit of it.
We need 11 birds on the New Zealand side at the moment.
We could do with something, certainly. Need something to bring this match alive. Elliott loses out in possession. Here comes Santa Cruz, plays it in field now, and suddenly there's a greater urgency about Paraguay. Edge of the area, shot comes in, and it was an awful one, way off target, driven by the substitute Barrios, right-footed, and although the build-up was decent, the finish was poor.
Yeah, he hadn't been on the field long enough, had he, Lucas Barrios there. Only got 3 goals for his country. He could have made a 4th there if he got his head down and struck it on target.
It was a decent exchange of passes, and Roque Santa Cruz in the centre of things, but it's a goal kick for New Zealand. Struck long by Paston, headed back by Shane Smeltz, and a cross comes in from the right-hand side, aimed towards Killen and Smeltz, but it comes back with Paraguay.
The space between the midfield players and the strikers there, it was nearly 45 yards. Elliott couldn't raise a gallop. He's standing in central midfield now at this moment. He can't run. Here's
Bertos, who has got some pace down the right-hand side, but coming across for Paraguay.
Oh, well defended.
Good defending by Dennis Kanitsa, who sees it go out for a goal kick. He's got a blow on the head. It looks Leo Bertos is down there clutching his head, and he's kept on coming. He's kept on running, and I think he might have got damage to his left eye.
All it is the defender's there. He's great, Paulo de Silva. He's not letting him get to the ball. You're not going to have it, and then he's just kept him off. He's been brilliant. That's great defending, that is.
Chris Woods coming on in place of Rory Fallon. The West Brom youngster is being introduced to the fray. Can he have an impact?
Fallon has got to make an impact on Peter Reid, because that's his new manager at Plymouth Argyle, I'm led to believe.
Yep.
But on that performance, he wouldn't stimulate me, Rory Fallon. But they've had a great tournament. I can't say that, but I just wish there's a little bit more there for them to dig deep. Come on, you've got a chance.
The impartial voice of Bobby Gould.
John, I'm honest. You're
certainly honest.
I really am. Let's. You want England to win? Yeah. We want New Zealand to win? Yeah. But they've got to play. They haven't played.
What can they do here? It's aimed through towards Wood, who was trying to break down the left side, but it goes all the way through to the goalkeeper for Paraguay, Justo Villar, who in turn bowls it out on the left side to his fullback, Claudio Morel. And he's looking infield, looking for some support, and his options from an attacking point of view were not good. He has to play it back instead to Christian Riveros, who in turn plays it back to Paulo de Silva of Sunderland. It comes back to the fullback Claudio Morel. Can he do something this time? He does manage to pick out Edgar Benitez, who seems to have moved onto this left side of the field in place of Nelson Valdez, but he can't get past 2 New Zealand defenders, and it goes through to Mark Paston. It only takes 1, Bobby.
Yeah, but then putting it up there like Paston's got hold of the ball. How long's it taken him before he's delivered it? If I'm Ricky Herbert, I want to go through. If I'm going to get beat, now go out. I've gone out with a bit of effort. They're going out, John, with no effort whatsoever, and that is so disappointing.
Here's Paulo de Silva of Sunderland in the back line for Paraguay. Plays it out onto this near side to Claudio Morel. In turn plays it back once more to Da Silva. And Riveros was back helping. Now they've switched play to the right flank with Denis Kanitsa. Can they start to put something together here? And the answer is in the negative, because it's been played out for a throw-in for New Zealand. And the pattern, I'm afraid to say, I'm sorry if this is sounding monotonous, but the standard of football here is dismal. You're listening to Paraguay against New Zealand on Talksport with Nivea for Men, proud supplier to the England team. And I'm not sure that they'd be too impressed at being supporters of the Paraguayan or New Zealand teams, because at the moment this match is a real stalemate, and it's not good to watch.
Turgid. I tell you what, it's worse than England versus Algeria, and I never thought I'd say that, because that was one of the worst international games I've ever seen. I know the lads are tired. I know the New Zealanders are tired physically. I know how far they come, but they're going to say they're coming out of the competition without getting beat, knowing that if they put that extra little bit of effort in, they could get through to the next round.
They've got 19 minutes in which to do something. We've played 71 minutes here, and it's Paraguay 0, New Zealand 0, and New Zealand have got a free kick, left-hand side of the pitch. Evan Village was brought down. Elliott plays it in long. Set piece, can they get something from this? No, but it bounces back to New Zealand, who try and drive in a shot from distance through Ryan Nelson, but unable to find the target. It's been cleared by Paraguay down the right side, and it comes to Elliott, who hooks it out left-footed for a throw-in for Paraguay, about 10 yards into the New Zealand half.
Santa Cruz was the man that headed it away from that free kick there, the big tall Manchester City player. Not really set the world on fire in this World Cup, but he's at least playing games where he's had a lot of injuries.
Morel's nutmegged Killen and moves into a central midfield position for Paraguay. Plays it back to Victor Caceres, who's looking for support on the left, and it comes back to Morel. Tackling back was Killen, and it's come back. Good work from Killen, tracking back, putting Paraguay under pressure. Momentarily it looked as though they were going to lose possession, and now he jostles for it with Morel, and Killen's gone in with the challenge, and the referees bought the protest from Paraguay, and it's going to be another free kick to Paraguay, left-hand side of the pitch.
I said it in the first half, if they're shielding the ball, don't tackle them, just let them have it. Just get down in a good position where you've got good balance, because if he pops away from Morel, then you can nick it off him.
They come forward once more on the left side, Paraguay, with Edgar Benitez, lays it back inside to the other substitute, Lucas Barrios, and it's played out for a throw-in for Paraguay on this side of the pitch. Paraguay trying to just put their passes together. Remember, 0-0, and the scoreline from the other match is continuing with Talksport on medium wave, 10:53 and 10:89 medium wave. Slovakia against Italy. It's 1-0 there. And let's get a report from that match.
Slovakia 1, Italy 0, and in the second half Italy have been much better. Changes made by Lippi at half-time, bringing on 3 substitutes. Iaquinta headed wide just after half-time when he should have scored. Great chance. Di Natale shot wide, he should have scored as well. Another clear-cut opportunity, and Skrtel saved on the line when one of the substitutes, Quagliarella, put a great shot in, but Skrtel was in the right place at the right time to clear off the line. Slovakia 1, Italy 0.
There we are, and that means that as things stand, New Zealand are on their way out of this tournament, and Paraguay would go through, and Italy would also be exiting. It's Paraguay 0, New Zealand 0. An attempted move through aimed at Edgar Benitez. A fresh set of legs down the left flank from him has just added something a little bit to this Paraguayan team. And there's been another free kick conceded. Paraguay's Christian Riveros was bundled down by Village, who hasn't done a great deal in that New Zealand midfield, it has to be said, in the second half, and it's played short by Paraguay. Comes back to Christian Riveros, just inside the Paraguayan half, left-hand side of the pitch, rolls it back at walking pace to Paulo da Silva, who in turn plays it out to his fullback, Claudio Morel, on the left side, linking up with Benitez, who cuts in, it's da Silva, it's Roque Santa Cruz, who cuts inside, loses out, but it comes back to Christian Riveros, and then once more to Claudio Morel on the left-hand side. Benitez, now it was, who gets it onto his right foot and plays it back to Christian Riveros once more. more spread across the back line as Paraguay just play keep ball once again. Julio Cesar Caceres plays it to Paulo da Silva, and I'm told there's been another goal in the match between Slovakia and Italy. Let's hear the commentary of how it came.
As the ball's played again for the corner, and Vitek scored! They went to sleep, Italy. The corner was taken. It was only cleared again to the right-hand side. It was driven low into the middle, and it caught Italy out. And Vitek, from close range, has slid the ball into the goal. And it's Slovakia 2, Italy 0.
Breathless excitement here as Paraguay almost managed to find their way in. It was so close, and another good save from Mark Paston, but New Zealand managed to hold firm. Slovakia then look as though they're home and dry. Here, as things stand, it would be Paraguay who would join them as the group winners. Italy would be on their way out. New Zealand somehow have to find a goal, but what a good save from Paston.
Oh, great save there from Paston. Wonderful save going down to his left-hand side. And Barrios there following up. Just couldn't get to the ball. And great defending them from the back four. And was it Lockhead? No, it was Tommy Smith who managed to clear the ball in the penalty area. Full marks to the three defenders in the back line. Plus Mark Paston.
Well, New Zealand's hopes are still flickering. There's still 14 minutes remaining here. Paraguay have had 13 shots, I'm told, as against just 3 from New Zealand. And here they come again with Barrios. Lays it back, and a shot from range wide of the post. He couldn't get it on target. Enrique Vera, the winger, the bearded winger who plays on the right flank for Paraguay, drove it in from all of 25 yards out, and Paston was able to watch it fly harmlessly wide.
Yes, and I wonder if any information's getting through to Ricky Herbert. I wonder if he's just nullifying his team so they don't get beat, John. That's what I'm starting to think, because they have not been an attacking force.
Well, he might as well lose 10-0 as draw 0-0.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They've earned the respect. Why not go for that little bit extra? Why not commit a few men forward? Oh, it's Brock. There could be another substitution.
And here come Paraguay once more with Roque Santa Cruz. Good save from Paston. Manages to get in, and it's played clear by the captain Ryan Nelson to Leo Bertos on the right side for New Zealand, and then inside to Elliott, whose pass almost lets him down. It was driven away by Winston Reid into the Paraguay half. This is better from New Zealand, a little bit more urgency. Bertos plays it forward now down that right side, but it's back with Paraguay. Christian Riveros plays it inside to Barrios. Good tackle indeed by New Zealand. Who was that? Who managed to get that one in, Bobby? It was a terrific tackle.
It was Woodsy.
Was it? It was. He did really well, tracking back and making a key tackle. And now it's New Zealand down the left-hand side with Lockhead, and they in turn play it back to Elliott, centre midfield, chips it through, but they were unable to get on the end of it. It was aimed at Shane Smelt, and frustration again for New Zealand, but that was more like it.
Yeah, well, they were coming forward, but they had to defend early on there, and Cruz went through, and Mark Paston's made another great save, just blocked it. But on the other end, the boy Woods has come on, and he has been a breath of fresh air. He's sat there for over an hour and said, I can do better than that, and he's gone out and tried to be an impact player.
There's another substitution being made for New Zealand. Chris Killen has played his last, and Jeremy Brockie is coming on, 22-year-old, who plays for North Queensland Fury in the Australian League.
My mucker, my mate.
Yeah?
Yeah, real mate.
Well, let's see if he can do it.
He's a good lad. Nice person. Needs a bit of a nastier streak inside him if he's going to be a top player. But as a free kick there to Paraguay, Roque Santa Cruz is creating a few problems now for Tommy Smith.
Yeah, he's given away the free kick. Tommy Smith, who's on Ipswich's books, remember, brought Santa Cruz down, and it's in a really dangerous position, only about 3 or 4 metres outside the New Zealand area, and this is danger time for New Zealand. They've got to get the organisation right. Paston's organising his wall. He's got 3-4 men in that at the moment, and all the tall players are up front for Paraguay, and there's a little bit of a conflab out there. Roque Santa Cruz at the heart of things, having a word. Who's going to take it? Will it be him, or will it be Claudio Morel, the left-footed fullback who's gone across there? It's just over 30 yards out, this right-hand side, just to the right of centre. and it might be that Morel will fancy his chances with a left-footed shot here. He's discussing it with Santa Cruz. The two of them are over the ball. Morel's shaping up as though he might be going to drive this one. Santa Cruz steps back also, and here they come, and Santa Cruz hits it. Good save from Paston, diving to his left, gets a firm fist to it, and it goes all the way out for a throw-in on the right-hand side.
He struck it. It's not a bent one, it's a straight drive. Paston's just palmed it away to his left-hand side, but Santa Cruz really caught hold of that.
Plenty of power, but the goalkeeper did well. It's headed in by Barrios, and Paston takes it. Throw-in was headed on by Barrios, but Paston, safe pair of hands up above the defence, and he served New Zealand well. Once more, Mark Paston made his debut way back in 1997. Mark Paston, now 33 years old, and apart from one shaky spell in that first match against Slovakia, against Italy, and again this afternoon against Paraguay, he's done well.
Yeah, Shane Smeltz there trying to be a little bit flash. The ball came down out of nowhere, played up to him from the right full-back Winston Reid, and try to flick it into Jeremy Brockie, but too fancy for my liking. Get it down, play it simple. As Ron Greenwood used to say to me, 73, 75 at West Ham, simplicity is genius.
You're listening to Paraguay versus New Zealand on Talksport with Marston's pedigree. England has it, and here come Paraguay, left-hand side with Benitez, gets his crossover, aimed at Santa Cruz. It was Barrios who eventually got his forehead to the ball, and it goes wide of the mark. Paraguay almost catching New Zealand with a swift break. It was played down the left-hand side, and the cross came over from Benitez, and Barrios' header just wide of the post.
Santa Cruz has gone to the near post, and he's got up on the back post. I'm getting up as I'm trying to head the ball there, and he couldn't get it back to go back across the goal to put it on target. So a good attempt there from the Paraguay substitute.
There are 8 minutes remaining for New Zealand to find a goal from somewhere to keep them in this World Cup. It's a throw-in on the right-hand side, just inside their own half, taken by Barrios. It's worked down with a succession of headers down the right-hand side, and Caceres puts it out for another throw-in. Elliott thinks about taking it, but leaves it, and coming up from the back, Bertos steps aside as well. It is going to be Bertos who's going to take this one.
Oh, look how close they're coming. Stay away from him.
Bobby almost wanting to shout advice. It swung across by Bertos. The head came from Shane Smeltz. Glancing header, and it's wide of the mark. Wood was there as well, and it was a good cross, swung over just wide of the mark.
82 minutes, John. 82 minutes. Smeltz has got a header, and that's what we've had to wait for. I say we as an adopted Kiwi, but it's been too long. It's been too long. They should have been putting this Paraguay team under pressure, because they could have cracked. If they get to hear what the score is, they might just rock. They must mentally just rock.
It's going to be a free kick to Paraguay in a fairly dangerous position. Roque Santa Cruz has been brought down once more, and it's only about 30 yards out. We've already seen him lash one from this sort of range a minute or two ago. It was Winston Reid who brought him down, and he apologises to the referee, and this is dangerous again for New Zealand. And Paraguay, I'm sure they'll have been told from the bench what they need to do, and that as things stand, they've done enough. It's 2-0 in the other match, remember. Italy are losing against Slovakia. They're on their way out, and now Roque Santa Cruz stands over this one, and it might be that he fancies giving this one another lash.
Well, it all depends. It's a stop.
Here he comes. It's a little bit of a chip forward, headed in, and easily taken from that header from Edgar Benitez by the goalkeeper, and bowled out down the left-hand side. Now can they do something here in New Zealand? Elliott plays it long up towards Wood. The header clear was a good one, but it comes only as far as Village, who plays it forward left-footed up towards Wood once more, and Smeltz battling for it, but it comes back head tennis centre field, and it's going to be a free kick for New Zealand just inside the Paraguayan half. Now this is perhaps an opportunity to put them under a little bit of pressure, a little bit of a few words exchanged, I think, between Roque Santa Cruz and Simon Elliott, but the play is going to continue. It's going to be a free kick for New Zealand just on the left-hand side.
There's enough shirts in there, black shirts in there, been pushed forward. Village is there, Reed's there. Smelts is there. Can Elliott deliver? Can he just give the one opportunity to get a header on target?
Edgar Benitez is whinging to the referee that the free kick's not being taken from the correct place, but the referee is now satisfied. He's retired, and now Elliott has to get this one good delivery. Big Wood is there waiting for it, but it's headed clear. It wasn't a good one. But it's managed to play it back in. It was Santa Cruz Black helping its defence. Garrett comes in, driven in left-footed from that left-hand side, but the Paraguayan defence hammer it clear, only as far as Elliott, who manages to keep it in and then has to play it back under pressure to his own goalkeeper, Paston, who hoists it long into the Paraguayan half. Another good header from Victor Caceres, headed on by Santa Cruz. That flag stays down. There was a break on, but the goalkeeper came racing clear, Paston, and he hoofs it all the way into the Paraguayan area, and Paraguay now clear it down the right flank, only as far as Tommy Smith, who plays it forward to Lockhead. In the closing minutes of this match, can they find something? Good cross! Oh, they almost get on the end of it. It was Wood, the substitute, but the flag had been raised. It was offside. It was swung in from the far side, and Wood had committed himself. He made a run, and he was maybe a couple of feet or so offside, and that was a correct decision. Yeah, good decision. Smelts has got back in there, and Woods has tried to drift away from the centre half, but put himself into an offside position. Why have we had to wait this long for this effort and determination? It mystifies me. It really, really does. Because if Paraguay would have rocked, then, it would have made it easier. They might have think, we're going to make mistakes and we're going to go out. And it could have been a counter-attack situation for New Zealand, but... We had an injury time goal for the United States yesterday, which carried them through from Landon Donovan. I wonder if we're going to get an injury time goal here. There's just 3 minutes of normal time. You're listening on Talksport, and it's Paraguay 0, New Zealand 0, and Paraguay down the left flank, give it away, but then cutting inside, it's Lucas Barrios who spins it out wide, and now Paraguay might be able to build something. The cross comes in from the right, headed away by the New Zealand defence. It may ultimately have come off the head of Roque Santa Cruz, the tall striker for Paraguay, and it's going to be a goal kick for New Zealand. I'm watching Gerardo Martino, the coach of Paraguay, down there in that technical dugout. He's telling them to stick it in the corners, get a throw in, waste time, just like England did, run the clock down. Come on, New Zealand, put it up there. It's hoofed deep by Paston, and then he loses out, and it's played back by Lucas Barrios, and now Paraguay are in possession, and New Zealand have got to go looking for it. They've got to put the Paraguayans under pressure, which they do successfully, but the referee has said that it's foot up by Elliott, and it's going to be a free kick for Paraguay, and may have been Chris Wood who was penalised actually, but he didn't like it. He's a big lad, isn't he, Wood? Oh, big tall lad, really is. He'll be 6'2", big size, big broad shoulders as well, got good quads, and he's bit of professional work at West Bromwich Albion, and he will be a stature of a figure to play as a front player from West Brom. Italy, I'm told, are now 3-0 down in the other match. Slovakia go through. Italy have imploded. That is an amazingly bad World Cup they've had. Free kick for Paraguay, swung across, heads go up, and a nice little bit of work by Barrios. Controls it and then lays it, or tried to lay it out left to Edgar Benitez, and it's back with New Zealand, and their substitute loses out, Jeremy Brockie. Come on, Brockie. Come on, Brockie, indeed. Brockie lost out, and it's going to be a free kick, is it? That's he fouled him. Paraguay. He lost possession, Jeremy Brockie, and it rolled in there. He tried to win it back again, but he fouled the wide player, Claudio Morale. So, with 1 minute of normal time remaining, we know that Italy are out. We know that Slovakia are through. As things stand, it's Paraguay as well. Morel plays that free kick across, left-footed, headed clear by the New Zealand defence, only as far as Edgar Benitez, who goes past one and he's been brought down, body checked on the edge of the area, and it's going to be a free kick only a couple of feet or so outside the area. Yeah, Tony Lockhead just stood his ground, great little jink there, and he's come inside, and he's been blatantly brought down by Lockhead.
Can they create any danger from this or a goal scoring opportunity?
Well, they're wearing the all black shirts of the New Zealand rugby team, and that was a bit of physicality from Lockhead, and it's going to be a free kick for Paraguay on the corner, on the edge of the area, and we're into now time added on. We're into injury time. Is there going to be one final twist in what has been a fairly turgid tale here? It's not been a great game. Closing seconds here, and the final whistle now has gone, and Paraguay have qualified. It has finished as a goalless draw. New Zealand couldn't find what they had to do, which was find the back of the Paraguayan goal. They couldn't find their way through for a goal in the closing moments. Pressure came, but they couldn't find a clear-cut scoring opportunity. It's been a pretty awful game here, but it's finished Paraguay 0, New Zealand 0. I gather there have been one or two technical difficulties, and you may have lost contact with us back in the UK for a minute or two there, but you didn't miss a great deal, I'm afraid to say. Paraguay and New Zealand, it's finished 0-0, and New Zealand, their brave attempt, and let's not forget they'd never got a point in World Cup finals before they came here. They got the draw against Slovakia, got that fantastic draw against Italy, and now a draw against Paraguay. They leave the World Cup undefeated, but they have been eliminated.